Imagine discovering beneath the waves the remains of a lost city in which its technology has baffled ancient civilizations and inspired legends for millennia. What if I told you this city might have been real and that we could be closer to its true location than ever before? Welcome to the mystery of Atlantis. Hidden in plain sight for thousands of years is the true resting place of this legendary city. Stick around because the clues we're about to unravel, based on Plato's writing, might just lead us to finally crack the code of Atlantis. Welcome to the Ancient Experience. I'm your host, Talon Telford, the nerdy old man who's been digging into ancient mysteries longer than I'd like to admit. Today, we're talking about the legendary city of Atlantis and why Spartal Island, a now sunken landmass near the Straits of Gibraltar, might be the real location of this fabled civilization. What if the reason the Atlanteans seemed so advanced wasn't because of anything supernatural, but because they were working with bronze while everyone else was stuck in the Stone Age? Before we dive in, let's compare Spartal Island with two other popular contenders for Atlantis, the Azores Plateau and the Eye of the Sahara. And trust me, by the end of this video, you'll be rethinking everything you thought you knew about this ancient mystery. Let's start with where the story of Atlantis comes from, the philosopher Plato. Around 360 BCE, Plato wrote about Atlantis in his dialogues, based on stories passed down from an Egyptian priest to a Greek statesman. According to Plato, Atlantis was a powerful civilization that existed 9,000 years before his time. The society was highly advanced with a vast wealth and powerful armies. It also had a technology that seemed far beyond what the rest of the world had. But here's the kicker: Plato described Atlantis as being destroyed in a single day and a night by catastrophic earthquakes and floods, sinking into the sea and disappearing without a trace. For centuries, scholars have debated whether Atlantis was a real place or simply just a cautionary tale. If it did exist, why haven't we found more evidence? Could it be that these artifacts of this advanced society have been lost or misidentified, or their technological edge, while extraordinary, was simply just a result of being ahead of their time? Let's compare the three most intriguing contenders for the location of Atlantis: the Azores Plateau, the Eye of the Sahara, and Spartal Island. The Azores Plateau is an underwater region in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean with volcanic islands sitting on top of it. Some theories suggest that these islands are the remnants of Atlantis. But here's the problem: the Azores are vast, far from the Mediterranean, and they do not match Plato's description for a single island that was close to the Pillars of Hercules. And when I say that, think the entrance to the Mediterranean Sea. The Eye of the Sahara, also known as the Richat Structure, is a striking formation in the Sahara Desert. Some have suggested that it looks like Atlantis. However, this site is in the desert and far from the ocean, 310 miles to be exact. To give you more context, a tsunami off the coast of Africa produced a mile's worth of silt to move through the ocean. I ran the numbers, and it was based on that information flowing towards the shoreline that it would give us more distance based on the water levels between 12 and 13,000 years ago, that it would have created a 2 mile high wave. From the multiple models that I ran, the conclusion was the same: highly improbable to extremely unlikely that even a 2 mile high tsunami wave could travel 310 miles inland. The combination of friction, energy dispersion, and terrain variations would cause the wave to lose its destructive capabilities. Let's take some historical information like the 1958 mega tsunami in Alaska to shed more light on this issue. It reached a record height of 524 meters, which is 1,720 feet, and it was confined to a narrow bay and did not travel far inland at all. Now, to the untrained eye, you can make leaps of logic that can get you to see anything and everything, leading you to a theory that has no connections at all. Sparto Island, however, was a small landmass near the Strait of Gibraltar, and it was above sea level during the last ice age. Unlike the vastness of the Azores and the dry inland Eye of Sahara, Sparto Island matches Plato's geographic location almost perfectly. It was a single island close to the Mediterranean, and it could have been swallowed by the sea during the Younger Dryas period, a sudden and dramatic climate change up between 12 to 13,000 years ago. Based on my models, a wave of 199 meters, well within the parameters of historical data, and based on the previous information of the tsunami off the coast of Africa, would have easily inundated Spartel Island and likely covered the entire landmass. The island's small size would provide little resistance, leading to complete flooding. The immense force of the tsunami would cause severe erosion, likely stripping away any loose soil, vegetation, or softer rock layers. Structures, if any, that existed would have been obliterated by the sheer force of the water. So, why does Spartle Island stand out as the most likely location for Atlantis? First, its location is spot on. Situated near the Straits of Gibraltar, Sparta fits Plato's description of Atlantis being beyond the Pillars of Hercules. During the last ice age, Sparta would have been a significant landmass, about 4 square miles, potentially home to an advanced civilization. But here's where things get interesting. What if the Atlanteans were using bronze tools and weapons at the time when their neighbors were still in the Stone Age? This technological edge could explain why Plato's account describes Atlantis as being so powerful and advanced. While bronze was a game changer in metallurgy, its use didn't become more widespread until later. If the Atlanteans had mastered this earlier, they would have had a significant advantage over other civilizations, which might have seemed almost magical or supernatural to outsiders. The Younger Dryas period, a sudden time of extreme climate change between 12 to 13,000 years ago, could be the key to understanding Atlantis' disappearance. This event, possibly triggered by a comet or an asteroid impact, caused a dramatic cooling to the Earth's climate, leading to massive floods and systemic activity. Sea levels rose, glaciers melted, and entire land masses could have been submerged. Scientific evidence supporting this includes layers of platinum rich sediment found across North America and Europe, suggesting a cosmic impact. If Spartel Island was Atlantis, it would have been overwhelmed by these catastrophic changes, sinking beneath the waves and leaving little trace behind. The remnants of this civilization could have been scattered across the seafloor, buried under the sediment, or even mistaken for artifacts of other later cultures. The search for Atlantis has captivated people for centuries, but Spartel Island offers one of the most plausible locations for this lost civilization. Its location near the Mediterranean, the timing of its submersion during the Younger Dryas, and its potential as an early Bronze Age society all align with Plato's account. The Azores Plateau and the Eye of the Sahara are intriguing, but their lack of geographical and historical context is what makes Spartel such a strong candidate. What makes this theory more compelling is the idea that the Atlanteans' technological edge was simply just being ahead of their time, not supernatural. They may have been skilled metallurgists who mastered bronze long before their neighbors, giving them an apparent edge of power and wealth. If this is the case, then the evidence for Atlantis may be more subtle, intermingled with other artifacts, or misidentified. If this exploration into Atlantis and Spartel Island have sparked your curiosity, make sure to subscribe to The Ancient Experience. By subscribing, you'll stay up to date on our quest to uncover history's greatest mysteries and rethink what we know about our past. And don't forget to check out our next video, Hunting for Alexander the Great's Lost Tomb, where we dive into another fascinating historical enigma. As we conclude this journey into the mystery of Atlantis, remember the value of these stories lies not in the possibility of finding a lost city, but how they challenge us to think about history, technology, and human development. Could Spartal Island be the true Atlantis? Its remnants buried beneath the waves, lost in time? And if so, were the Atlanteans just simply an early Bronze Age society whose technological advances were misunderstood as something supernatural? The search continues, but one thing is certain: the legend of Atlantis, whether myth or reality, remains one of the most intriguing puzzles of our time. Keep questioning, keep exploring, and remember the past is full of secrets waiting to be uncovered. The nerdy old man out.
Dances of patience, yeah, and